Welcome back to my channel. My name is Emma. I am the red-headed reader, you know, because I'm a redhead and I like to read. Pretty self-explanatory. So, today we are going to be talking about Fave Books of 2020, because all I had to do was read. What's happening here? So, we're going to talk about my fave books of 2020. We're going to start with the book that I finished most recently, aka Boxing Day. Definitely need to give this author some credit. It is a Wattpad book, but it's amazing. I love this book. I read it when it was one of the ones first released on Wattpad when I was so young. Entwined by A.J. Rosen. And basically it's about soulmates. It's kind of a fluffy romance novel, but it's not. There's a dark twist to it, and I really like the dark twist. It's similar to, if you've ever read a werewolf Wattpad novel, it's similar to those where they click, like they have a mate and they can sense their mate as soon as they turn a specific age. But in this one they have to be awakened first. So they have to go to a specific ceremony, they have to go through the ceremony, and they have to be awakened. And by awakened means like to awaken their god descent. So they are all descended from Greek gods, and there are certain specific tiers of gods. There's the main three: Hades, Poseidon, and Zeus. And then there's, you know, the second tier, which is like Hera, Artemis, Aphrodite. And then lastly there's what they call regulars, which is like Circe or Tiefe? I can't pronounce her name. It's like the goddess that she is related to, which is the goddess of luck. And it's amazing. It takes place over a month, which is December, but it's not wrapped around Christmas. It's like their own interpretation of Christmas, and it's just, I love it. It's so good. Beautiful. Loved it. Next is Red Queen. So let me backtrack here. I have read this book before. I bought the whole series, so I was like, I gotta reread the whole series. This is a really good book. I give it a 4 out of 5 stars. Oh, sorry, the last book I gave like 3.5 out of 5 stars. So I really like this book. I think it's amazing. I believe the author did a really good job. It's headstrong. It gets you really excited for the next book, and it's beautiful. Basically, I've already mentioned in a previous video. If you need me to explain it again, I will put it in the description box below. So, Red Queen, Victoria Aveyard, 4 out of 5 stars. Loved it. It's amazing. Trashy YA is like, it's good. I love trashy YA. Who doesn't love trashy YA? Hush Hush by Becca Fitzpatrick. So good. I read this when I was probably like 12, maybe 13, maybe I was 14, but I still really liked it. And so I was like, I really like that book. I really remember the whole series. I didn't get to finish the last book. I'm like, I'm gonna reread the whole thing. It's amazing. What can I say? I love this book. It's trashy YA. Who doesn't love trashy YA? I give this book a 3.5 stars because it is trashy YA. It's an impulsive read. It's one of those things that you need to read when you need instant gratification. AKA an ADHD book. It's The Hazelwood by Melissa Albert. I love this book. I give this one a 4.5 out of 5, maybe even a 4.8, because it's amazing. The way that it twists your brain into thinking a specific thing, you're like, yeah, I know that's gonna happen. That's definitely gonna happen. But it's like, no, it's not gonna happen the way you think it is. Basically, it's about a girl named Alice who's 17 years old, and she inherits everything from her grandmother, who writes folklore and all of these different stories. And one day her mom goes missing, and she has to try and figure out how her mom went missing while consulting her mom's folklore book. And it's just, wow. It's just, it's so good. Definitely 10 out of 10. Recommend. Read it. Complete Nikki Glass series. by Jenna Black. It's a heifer. It's because it's got Dark Descendant, Deadly Descendant, Pros and Cons, Rogue Descendant, Divine Descendant. So it's got even like the novellas in here. Like, I don't even know how many pages is this. 1,664. I love this series. It's amazing. How had I never even heard of this series before? The Nikki Glass series, they're all descended from all types of gods. Every single type. There's, what is she from? There's Kali. I can't remember what god she's, like, what culture she's from. There's her descendant. There's Artemis, which is the main character. She's supposed to be the only descendant from Artemis, and she's a PI, and she's like, it comes to her, like, later on that they're like, well, how are you a PI? And, well, the reason you're a PI is because you're Artemis's daughter. Like, a descendant from Artemis, not Artemis's daughter. Because it's like, that's impossible because Artemis had a vow. Amazing. I love this book. It's so good. It's not trashy YA. It's just amazing. I love it. It's so good. Definitely check this book out. And also check Jenna Black out because she's an amazing artist as well. Door That Led to Where by Sally Gardner. So this is the book that I realized I could read third person in because it's written in third person, but it's amazing. It's a historical fiction, kind of like goes back in time. It's like a sci-fi historical fiction book. It's amazing. I loved it. And give this one a 3-star. Just because I don't normally think about it, it's not something that I'm like, oh, yeah, I read that book. You should read it. But it's definitely something that I really enjoyed. It's like there could have been more, but it was really well written. I would say top 5. The Bone Houses by Emily Lloyd Jones. If you haven't read this, read it. It's amazing. It's wow. It's something that there's romance in it, but it doesn't focus on the romance. It focuses more on the story. Like, the main character, I can't remember her name. Rin, she finds a way to involve her family in everything, and the connection with her father is so important to her, and figuring out what's going on in her little town and how everything is connected, and figuring out the connection between her family, the land that she's on, her town, and what's happening in the forest. It's super dark, super twisted, it's so much folklore. It's amazing. I can't imagine a better way for this book to be written, and it's the Owl Crate edition, so it's signed, which makes me so happy. So happy. I probably would have never picked up this book if it hadn't been for Owl Crate. I give it 5 stars. Give it 5 stars. It's amazing. Amazing. Serpent and Dove by Shelby Mahurin. I loved this book. It's amazing. It's so good. Amazing. Lou is a Dame Blanche, which is a white lady or a white witch of some sort, and she's on the run from the head of the Dame Blanche and from the, what are they called? I can't remember. Un chasseur, which is someone that hunts witches, and it's just, it hits. I love this book. I loved it so much that I bought 1 copy, and then when they came out with the Serpent and Dove, my phone just went off. When they came out with a Serpent and Dove book, or box at Indigo, where it was signed by the author, I had to get it. So I gave my old copy, the first one that I hope to eventually have all of the books that she puts out signed. I went to Value Village because I love Value Village, and I love Tully's, and I love all of those stores. Secondhand stores are my favorite. This is called The Emerald Sea, part of the Glittering Court novels by Rochelle Mead. The one who did the Vampire Diaries? No, Vampire Academy. I apologize. It's a book that doesn't take place in our dimension of some sort. It takes place in like another world, but it's very similar to Earth. It's like old-time Earth, and it's not in America. It's considered like... It's just... I really like this book. It really speaks to me, finding a way to get a better life for your family, and it's amazing. I definitely recommend that you read it. I do but you don't have to read it in a specific time. So the Glittering Court and Midnight Jewel and Emerald Sea all happen at the same time, just different from different perspectives. So this is from the main character, which is Tasman, and then I believe Glittering Court is Adelaide, and then the other one, what's her name? Mira, and I believe Midnight Jewel is Mira. 3 stars. Again, it's not something that like I didn't dislike, but it's not something that I overly enjoyed. This one is Amid Stars and Darkness by Channy Lynn Feeder. It's amazing. I loved it. Yeah, so it's a good book. I don't know if I said this before, I'd probably give this one like a 3.5 stars. Because I don't really remember what happens in the book. Granted, I have a horrible memory in general, but I do remember really liking it. It could have been better. There could have been more to it. And lastly, I give this book 4.5 stars because it's amazing. It's Where I Live by Brenda Ruffner, and I've already talked about it in my Christmas song tag video. It's beautifully written. It's about a girl who faces homelessness, has experienced many horrible things in her life, but you don't really know any of those things until later on. And she doesn't want anyone to know that she's homeless because she doesn't want to be taken away from her friends, and it's just her. She doesn't have any family. It's just... It's one of those stories where you're like, it doesn't...
Hello, editing Emma here. As I'm listening to this, I can hear the camera going in and out of focus. I apologize if the noise is too much and you're sensitive to hearing. May I recommend not using headphones? Thank
isn't necessarily like a perfect ending that you would be hoping for, but it was just like, she's gonna be okay. And those books, for me, they resonate really well. Because you don't always need a happy ending. You need something where you're just like, that, I can understand that. Like, that concludes the books. Faves of 2020. I might put City of Bones on there later if I finish it before 2020 is over, but I might not. But yeah, I don't know what happened. Why did something shift back here? I don't know what it was. But anyways, like, subscribe, comment, hit the notification bell. Hope you all have a wonderful evening, a wonderful time, and I wish you all the best in 2021. Happy reading, my friends.